chairman of the Park County Republican Central Committee, and I'm just going to get us started. We're going to set the ground rules, and first of all tell you we appreciate your time. We're going to try and make this exercise worth your time. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some contested races this year. It's an even-numbered year. That means that the county courthouse this particular cycle has lots of business. So we have a total of 9 constitutional officers that serve the courthouse. 7 of those offices are up, all except my office, the current District 3 Commissioner office. And I'm going into oblivion, thankfully. I'm sure most people will think that. But I've had a great ride here. Monica, you're welcome to come up to the table. You don't have to sit.
Oh, no, you guys have censored me. I'll stay back here.
Well, that still means you can sit up to the table. That's your choice. Okay. So with that, we as a Republican Party have an obligation to vet our candidates with you, the public. So there's a variety of ways we do that. First of all, this is a caucus state, and we start off with the March caucuses to set at the neighborhood level delegates to the county assembly. Those delegates to the county assembly then go to that function, which we have in Fairplay. At that point, we have a total number of delegates. I think we have 91 or 92. They select the candidates that will appear in front of you when you get your ballot from Mel Castle around 8th of June, and the primary will be 32. So, in order to know who those people are, they've gone through the caucus, the assembly, and now they've made the primary ballot, and now they're out in front of you to let you see them talk to you, and you get to know them a little bit. Let me tell you, it's not easy for y'all, for anyone to come up here as a candidate and sit in front of you and say, vote for me, I'm the best. It's very difficult to come up here in front of a crowd, or not, just to say, hey, I'm thinking about running for public office, and my first question would be, have you lost your mind? The second question would be, have you lost your mind? But I appreciate everybody who is participating in the process, because I've been involved in the Republican Party in Park County since 1980. Now there's some cycles through there that the party and I didn't always get along, and that's the way life is. We have that now. We have some people that don't particularly care the way the party is run. That's okay. But the party in its place today, ladies and gentlemen, is coming forward with you with 7 different forums. This is number 2. For all over the county. So we're going to do Lake George, Guthrie, and Hartselle. We did Hartselle Thursday night. We're going to do 2 in Fairplay and 2 in Platte County. So, some of the ground rules. We're going to start off with our 2 elected officials in the clerk and treasurer's office that are not opposed. And they're going to give you a 3-minute opening or whatever they want to take, and then so you can get to know them. David Kentz, our coroner, is also running unopposed in the Republican side. I'm sure he's probably out doing work somewhere. He was with us in Thursday's night's meeting at Hartselle, and if he could be with us, he would. Other person that's running unopposed is Jack Kirby, our surveyor. I want to say a little plug about Jack. Jack, I was trying to think. I've served with 35 commissioners, 6 sheriffs, 6 coroners, 5 clerks, and 5 treasurers. I think I've only served with 2 surveyors. I think. It was Tom Burnett, and I think Jack Kirby, because Jack's in year 34. And if he gets reelected, which I believe he will, we'll give him year 38. And then that will give him 60 years in the profession of surveying. So that's a great consequence. So for those guys, we're going to start with that. But I want to say a little bit of the ground rules. Up here in front of you are the people that have gone through the process. I also want to introduce a special guest we have. Teddy, we're going to give you a little bit of time. Our Senate District 4 candidate. We had our Senate District 4 assembly in Canyon City. It truly was one of the hottest days that I've ever experienced on Main Street of Canyon City, but we made it through. So with that, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with these folks that are up for contested office. So we have sheriff candidates, we have commissioner candidates, and we have assessor candidates. So we had 3 people participate on Thursday. Just for the record, we have barred no one, we have excluded no one, but we have, the chairman will explain, chairman's job is to enforce the bylaws. And we have enforced the bylaws on 2 individuals in February of 2025. We have censured former Commissioner Elsner for a period of 5 years,
Which is
for
illegal.
loyalty and for working for Democrats. Best friend the Democrat Party ever had or ever will have. Second person was Assessor Jones.
I'm retired.
Assessor Jones, last time she was at a Central Committee meeting was June of 23 until February of this year, I believe. She hadn't participated in any events.
This is totally
It
uncalled
hasn't
for,
been-
Mr. Wilson.
I don't care what
We
you
will
say.
have order.
You are out of
You
order.
can't-
We are under Robert Rules of Order. We will escort
Sergeant
you out.
It's totally uncalled for. If you look at the bylaws, I'll go. If
We
you
will
look
have order.
if you look at the bylaws, the chair has to be neutral. You are the chair.
Leave.
I'm like, okay, well,
You're out of order, so get out.
I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a perfect example of the cancer this committee is trying to eliminate. We have been openly, publicly supporting Democrats, and that is unacceptable. If you want to support a Democrat, become one. Don't do it from a Republican, because why? Everybody knows that in order to be elected to office, you need to be a Republican registered voter. How many people truly support the Republican Party? That's what we're here to find out. That's what we're here to discern. And we have lots of races, but what we need to worry about, in my opinion, looking at the landscape across the state, is what we can control. And what we can control are the borders of Park County. Okay? It's important that the courthouse, you know who your elected officials are at the courthouse. Because believe me, running for office and doing it are 2 different things. So what we're going to do is, Amy, I want you to explain the rules for the people that are contesting. Then we'll get going.
Okay, so we're going to let the uncontested go first, and then they can even go home and go on their way and then start their Memorial Weekend. And then the offices where we have, sheriff office where we have both our candidates here, we're going to have them go first in the round robin, and we're going to have, each candidate gets 3 minutes for their introduction, and then we're going to ask a question. We've got questions from the audience, and they will have 2 minutes to answer, so we'll rotate. Candidate 1, they get a question. Candidate 2, 2 minutes to answer. Candidate 2, 2 minutes to answer. And then candidate 1 will have 30 seconds to rebut, and then candidate 2, 30 seconds to rebut. And then they will alternate. Then candidate 2 gets the first question, and we will alternate back and forth like that. With that, we will balance it out. Now, some of these we've got candidate-specific questions, and they will be able to answer that. But I will still give the other candidate 30 seconds if they'd like to comment on that answer. And it will go both ways, because we've got specific questions for both of the sheriffs, and they wanted it just pointed to one. So that's what we're at. And then the rest of the candidates will have questions asked, and they'll also get their 3 minutes to introduce.
Someone that you have that microphone, because you're going to need to ask questions.
Okay?
Okay? So with that, I wanted to set up the table that we owe it to you as a party. If indeed the Republican Party is that gateway to elective office, then we need to owe it to you to come to your community with these people in their good graces. I want to thank everyone who's serving today, and who served in the past, and who will serve in the future, because thank yous are few and far between. And I just want to say, looking at all the people, all the years that we've been here, you guys know what's going on. You live here. You guys see what's going on. It's us that has to come to you guys, in my opinion, because I don't live in the Bailey area. And that's what I think our philosophy is. So with that, I'm going to ask Amy, is your first, and then Mel won the draw, and give us as much time as you want, up to 3. Amy,
I stand over here, they don't like my back to people.
just so she can film you. Just so she can film
Oh,
You can put your back to us.
sorry, Karen.
you. Okay.
I'm Amy Flynn. I have had the honor of being treasurer for the last 3 years, 3.5 years, and I appreciate your support in that position. I would appreciate your support in the next 4 years as treasurer for our county. What is the treasurer's office? I learned that over the last 3 years, a lot. First and foremost, we are the treasurer. We are the banker for the county money. We collect the department deposits, make the department deposits. We handle the investments, and what do I want to say? Follow the advice of our investment advisor. I'm not a professional in investments, so we take our investments to an advisor who we trust. And what other things? Treasurer's deeds are what we work with, and the tax liens. So if people don't pay their taxes, we take those taxes to sale in November. The investors who are interested in paying those taxes and earning interest on those taxes buy those and make the county whole. So we process all the taxes and send them out to the jurisdictions and the departments, fire departments, police department, the county entities. Public trustee is also under our office, and that handles the foreclosures and deed of trust releases. Those, we get a little bit of money for that, but we handle all of those things as well. Foreclosures are quite a bit. I want to say we had 35 last year, and this year we're up to, I think, 18 at this point in time. Keeps us busy. Other than collecting taxes, the questions that we have to answer to the community, keeping those clear, answering questions. Trying to think what else we do. We do a lot. But if you guys have any questions for me, I'm open, and I'm glad to answer anything that anybody has for me.
Thank you. Hand off of the microphone.
All right, flip around. Melania Castle, our clerk and reporter, running
Welcome.
unopposed. You're fine, you're fine.
You're wherever you want to be.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mel Castle. I have had the honor of being your clerk and recorder since October 22. I would like your support to have another term as your clerk and recorder. My office has 3 departments: motor vehicle, recording, and elections. Motor vehicle is extremely busy. They did an upgrade which has slowed things down, and there's been a few hiccups, but thank you for your patience. Recording, that's where all the documents get recorded. Deeds, marriage licenses. I'm sorry, I've had allergy medicine, I'm a little shaky. And then there's elections. Some of you have participated, and I appreciate it, because you are the ones that make elections happen. Your votes are important, and they need to be safe and guarded, and that's what we do. Thank you for your support.
It's okay, you're good. Teddy, we're going to let you go next. Teddy, give us a little bit about yourself and tell us all the good stuff.
Absolutely. So, howdy folks, how we doing today? Well, there's a lot of tense, energy into work. We all see that we're all Republicans here. Let's all be happy here, guys. We got some great candidates up here. They're going to talk to you tonight. But let me tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm running. My name is Teddy Collins. I'm running to be your next state senator here in District 4. For those of you who don't know your district boundaries, Senate District 4 is 8 counties: Park, Lake, Chaffee, Custer, Fremont, Teller, Dubco, and part of Jeffco. It's one of the biggest geographical districts in the state of Colorado. Mark Basley is your current state senator who's running to be your federal senator against John Hickenlooper. By the way, how many of y'all want to see Hickenlooper's name on the ballot again? How many times have you seen it on the ballot? Too many times. Let's get Mark Basley in there. He's definitely the best fit for the job. But a little bit about myself, why I'm running, folks. I'm actually a business owner. I own one of the largest family-owned and operated gun stores in the state of Colorado, Spartan Defense out of Colorado Springs. I live in Douglas County on a ranch. I have a ranch out in Larkspur area out there. And there's many reasons that got me into this race. First and foremost, I've been an advocate for the Second Amendment and for parental rights up at the Capitol for the last 5 years, testifying against bad legislation, working behind the scenes to kill bad bills, and to get good bills passed. So I understand the legislative process very well. Almost everybody on the Republican side knows me up there, and on the Democrat side, including some that check their bed at night to make sure I'm not hiding up there. So that's me. But why I'm in this race is really kind of I'll give you the series of events. First and foremost, other than being an advocate, I wanted to see how I could get more involved, and this really hit with the death of Charlie Kirk. I was actually supposed to attend a speaking event with Charlie Kirk up at Charis Bible College the day after he died. It turned into a memorial for him. And sitting in that room, listening to all the amazing things that man accomplished for the conservative movement and bring the youth into politics, made me say, what the heck am I doing? What can I do to do more? So I started asking around. I started looking. I started talking to these political contacts that I had made up at the Capitol over the years and saying, what can I do to do more, to be more helpful? And one of my friends, Mark Basley, said, I want you to run for my seat. So I thought about it for a long time, honestly, until the first of the year. And then something happened that really made me make my decision. My daughter's had a threat against her school. My daughters go to an elementary school with 400 other elementary school children. And in that school, there's not a single armed guard. When this threat occurred, they canceled school for almost a week. And then they had sheriffs for the following week there. And yet still, even though we pleaded with the school board, they would not hire an armed guard or allow armed staff on that school. That's unacceptable. I don't want any parent to ever have to feel that way, that if they drop their children off at school, that they have to be worried about being able to pick them up again or ever seeing them again. No parent should ever have to feel that way. That is the main reason I'm running for this seat. There are many others as well. As a business owner, I have felt the crushing red tape and regulations here in the state of Colorado. Did y'all know that we are the 6th most regulated state? We have 205,000 regulations on businesses. Woo. I might have been speaking too loud, sorry. We have 205,000 regulations. Every single year, the legislator puts up 600 to 700 pieces of legislation and passes around 300 new pieces of legislation. Do you think that there were 300 things that they needed to legislate this year? No. No, they were trying to pass prostitution, folks. They were trying to increase your taxes. They did pass something to keep your tax returns, to keep your table returns. That's unacceptable. We have to fix this state. We have to make this state pro-business, pro-friendly to business environment to bring jobs in, good-paying jobs into the state of Colorado. And right now, the Gold Dome is not doing that. They're also doing top-down mandates. How many of y'all are familiar with the unfunded mandates? Okay. Last time you registered your car, how many fees did you recognize on there? That's because of the unfunded mandates, because the legislator up in Denver passes laws they expect the county to float, and the county has to figure out a way to cover those expenses. That's what those fees are. We have to fix that. And I'll tell you right now that when I'm up there, I will fight back against every single piece of legislation that tries to pass an unfunded mandate, especially that puts it down on the counties. It's unacceptable. On top of that, folks, we have some really, really bad social legislation going on and anti-2A legislation going on. How many of y'all are familiar with 003? Goes into effect in August. Any gun owners here? Well, come August, folks, if you want to go buy a semi-automatic firearm with a detachable magazine, you're going to have to go through 2 days of training, get fingerprinted by your sheriff, submit a fee to the state of Colorado, to Colorado Parks and Wildlife, and wait to be able to get that license to purchase. And that license is only good for 2 years. You're going to have to renew it every 2 years if you want to go and purchase a semi-automatic magazine-fed firearm. Unacceptable. I fought that bill tooth and nail. We almost had it killed. And then one senator switched his vote and passed the bill on a complete partisan line vote. This year, other bad legislation, the barrel bill. How many of y'all are familiar with that? Well, I also serve as the Vice President of Industry for the Colorado State Shooting Association. That is your state chapter of the National Rifle Association. And we are the ones that are responsible for getting that killed this year. Y'all heard about the DOJ lawsuit? Against Denver and the state of Colorado? That was us. We actually talked. I spoke myself to Attorney General Blanche for the United States of America at the NRA convention 2 weeks before he filed that lawsuit and pleaded for him to do something in Colorado. And he said he would, and within 11 days he did. So I plan to go up there and be an advocate for your civil liberties, for your Second Amendment, for your children, and for your pocketbook. That's what I'm going to do when I'm in office, folks. But I need your help to get there. I have a Democrat opponent. I do not have a primary. I had 2 other opponents running against me at Assembly. I cleared my Assembly with close to 80% of the vote. And this Democrat is probably the most serious Democrat they've ever run in this district. And he's got juice, because he's connected to Brittany Pedersen. He's one of hers. And they have money, folks. So right now I'm in complete campaign fundraising mode, because I don't have a primary. I am reserving my resources to be able to fight in November and make sure that this seat remains red for you folks. Because here's what happens if it doesn't. If this seat flips blue, the Democrats will now have a supermajority in the legislature. All they need is 1 seat. And if they have a supermajority, that means we cannot even fight to override that means that we cannot even prevent an overridden veto if we get our governor candidate in there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We don't have the votes. So this seat is super important, folks, and it's one of the last remaining red seats in the Senate. We have to keep it that way. So I ask for your support. I ask for you to check me out at collinsforcolorado.com. If you're on Facebook or social media, follow me on Facebook. Would love to have you. Would love to chat with you. I'm an open book as well if you have questions for me.
Yeah, I have a
But there's
question
lot
right
of
here.
cleaning house.
Question right here.
We've got one question for you, Teddy.
All right.
Park County is a little bit unique. We're rural and one of the high mountain counties in your district.
Yes.
What bill do you think you could run to help Park County, or what specifically would you do to help Park County with the challenges we have? Mainly roads and highway user tax
Fire
funds,
mitigation.
lack of funding, and beetle kill and fire mitigation, yes.
So I'm willing to work with the county commissioners to see what's needed and run legislation accordingly to make sure that you get what you need here in Park County, especially when it comes to fire mitigation and water. Those are two, and beetle kill is a big problem, not just here, but in one of my other counties right next door, Evergreen. It's a big problem. So I know that there's been also a problem with being able to get rid of debris and cut your trees down and things of that nature. So we're going to look into that as well. But I'm open to, I don't know everything, folks, and I'm happy to have conversations with you. I want to hear what the issues are from you folks up here in Park County. I need to hear what those are, so that when I get in there, I can run legislation with other legislators, and yes, reach across the aisle to Democrats. There are some sane ones out there. They tend to be on the Opportunity Caucus, not the Progressive Caucus. But there are people that I do know I have built relationships with, and I can work to get things done for you folks. But I need to know specifics, and I need to know what you need. So that's why I'm here tonight. So Teddy Collins running for State Senate 4. God bless you all. Thank you.
Give him a hand. Give him a big hand.
Where we started over here?
We're going to start over here. So we're going to start with the opening statements from all of our candidates, and however you want to do that. I'm going to set over here and use a timer. Okay? I'll have a 30-second. Give you an idea. When it's time, I'll make one that says stop. But we're going to be pretty judicious with it, but we want to go ahead and start with that. So, Amy, you have the floor.
All right, we are going to have an introduction from all of our candidates. So we're just going to start from Teddy down. So Steve, we will give you the first chance for your 3-minute introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the Republican Central Committee for hosting this event today. Thank you all for being here on this Memorial Day weekend, and thank you to those who have given their lives so that we can be here and practice the form of government that we have on this Memorial Day weekend. So, my name is Steve Spodiak. I'm your sheriff candidate for Park County. I'm your current undersheriff. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a coach. I'm a Colorado native, and I've been in and around Park County for most of my life, in the Bailey area. I'm a graduate of Platte Canyon High School here in Bailey. I'm also a graduate of Adams State College down in the San Luis Valley here in Colorado. I have a master's certificate from the University of Virginia, and I'm a graduate of the FBI National Academy. I have 22 years of law enforcement experience. 14 of those years have been here with the Park County Sheriff's Office, and I just hit my 10-year anniversary being back here in Park County. I left for a while for what I thought were greener pastures. I left for higher pay, better benefits, better retirement, but I realized that this was my home, and that I needed to be back here serving the people of this county, you folks. That's why I'm running for sheriff. This place is important to me. Park County is my home, Park County has been my home, and Park County will continue to be my home. As I said, I'm currently your undersheriff. So the role of undersheriff in this sheriff's office currently is responsible for the operations of all of our divisions. We have a jail division, we have a patrol division, an animal control division, an investigations division, and our civilian staff. I'm drawing a blank on what they're called, and I apologize. I apologize to you ladies. Support Services Division, thank you very much. So I'm familiar with all the ins and outs of how the sheriff's office runs. But I started at the bottom here. I started as a detention deputy in our jail back here in 2005. So I've worked in our jail, I've worked on patrol, I've been a school resource officer at Platte Canyon here, and I have to say I'm part of the reason why we have 2 school resource officers in this school district, because that is extremely important to me. The safety of our schools and the safety of our children, I know firsthand what that's like, and I know firsthand how important a school resource officer is to build relationships with the young people. They know our officers, and they know that they have people that they can go and talk to. So to wrap up, I'm ready to be your sheriff today, I'm ready to be your sheriff tomorrow, and I'm ready to be your sheriff in January of 2027. I've been a registered Republican here in Park County since 2006, and I appreciate your support and your vote. Thank you.
Sheriff candidate, you're next. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I just want to join Steve and congratulate not only our veterans, military service, but everyone that's in this law enforcement field. There's deputies working the streets today. They're deprived from being with their families, and I just want to express my gratitude and thanks to you and the Park County Sheriff's Office. So, my name is Ahmed Susik. I'm your candidate for the sheriff. 24 years in law enforcement, worked myself from the street level all the way to executive level. From the police officer, field training officer, sergeant, ultimately chief of police. Currently, I'm working for the Summit County Sheriff's Office as a patrol or operations sergeant in charge of night crew, the most challenging crew you can imagine. All the calls are serious. I was part of the corresponding unit mental health. I supervise a SMART program in Summit County as well, supervise a couple teams. For you, they're not familiar with my goals for the Sheriff's Office. My goals from the day one, it's going to be recruitment, retention, it's going to be fiscal responsibility, how we spend our money, and mental health is a key component to my program. When we talk about recruitment and retention, we're talking about salaries, we're talking about 24/7 coverage. I am bringing you 24/7 coverage from the day one. Difference between me and somebody else, I'm running with Mr. Gary Rhodes as my undersheriff. I can tell you, we both live here in the community. I raised my family here. I raised my 3 boys in this community. When we are short on the street, guess what's going to happen? All hands in. Everybody's going to be wearing their uniform. Everybody's going to be pitching in, and everybody's going to be working. I want to make sure that our deputies are not distant figures. I want to make sure that they know who they work for, and that's you folks. This is who they work for, and we need to reestablish that relationship. Trust from the community is what I believe in. Community outreach programs. Being in the community, not just sitting in your car, seeing your community having a barbecue, joining them, means a lot to me. So, this is what I'm going to run my campaign on. Those are my goals that I'm going to be implementing from day one. I'm Ahmed Susik, and I'm running for your Park County Sheriff. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Cindy, you're up.
Hi,
You're good. You won't hear it, it's just up on the recorder.
I'm Cindy Weld, and I'm running for county assessor. I have a degree in accounting, and shortly after I graduated, I went into auditing. I audited banks and trust accounts, and from that point on, I went into federal services, which used to be a company, US West, which eventually became Quest, which is your telephone company now. But we did large telephone projects for Los Alamos and Hanford, and I did all the financial aspects for that. After that, I stayed home with my kids and I homeschooled my kids. And they're all gainfully employed, and some have masters, some most of them all have degrees, or they have at least an associate degree. After I homeschooled my kids, I went into being a site supervisor. We built strip malls and 7-Elevens, and I supervised multiple fields, a lot of different challenges. I had to prove to some of the guys that I could do the work as well as supervise the work. It was a fun experience. Then I went to work for the Admirals Club, which is with American Airlines in customer service, and helped with those clients. Most of them are elites, but not always. When we get IROPS, we would, have people come in and they want us to rebook their flights. And it was always a challenge to just be nice when they're very angry and frustrated. It's a challenging job, but it was a lot of fun. It was, I spent 10 years doing that. And now I'm a realtor, full-time realtor, although I'm doing this, so not really full-time right at the moment. And the reason I want to represent you guys as an assessor is, first of all, I want the employees that are in that department to be able to be very successful. I want them to be able to go to the classes, become certified as appraisers, commercial appraisers, whatever they want to do. That's an opportunity that when they leave, either move out of the state or whatever, they have an opportunity then to take that appraisal position and be successful somewhere else. I also want to be able to explain to everybody why their property taxes are the way they are. And especially seniors, be able to explain how we get to that point. And lastly, I want the data to be accurate, fair, and equitable. There won't be any bias. Everybody will be treated the exact same way. So thank you very much.
Wally, you're up.
Hey everybody, my name is Wally Weld. I want to thank everybody for coming today during this holiday when we honor our service people. I did not get a chance to serve, but I am serving in the American Legion. I'm past Senior Vice Commander for the state of Colorado for the Sons of the American Legion. So I do everything I can for our folks that have served, and God bless you guys and gals for doing that. That's why we can stand here and do what we're doing today. I've been coming to Park County for about 50 years. I was a Boy Scout in my father's troop, and we used to come up here in camp. We would take 285 all the way down to New Mexico. So this is a part of the country that I know and love. We had a choice of doing that or going skiing on I-70 with all the crazies going back and forth. And I'm glad my dad picked this side of the state because it's awesome. I love it. I've been a stakeholder up here for 29 years. We have a home in Indian Mountain. Cindy and I finally moved up here full-time about 3 years ago. So it's pretty exciting to be here finally, someplace where I've always wanted to be. My first 25 years, I was a geologic technician with Union Pacific Railroads Mining Corporation. It helped me buy my place where we still have water at 70 feet right now after 29 years. So the geology that I know and have is going to be great for the county. Also, the last 25 years, I've been a real estate broker, run my own business. The best thing that ever happened to my business was my wife joining me. She is the brains of the operation, and she is a very technical gal, and I just love her for that. It's very exciting. I have three properties that I talk about as far as being a Republican and a conservative. And one is we have plenty of government right now, as Teddy attested to. We don't need a lot more government. We've got plenty of laws, plenty of government going on. We just need to enact those laws, enforce them, and occasionally have a law or two, but not so much. So that's something I would bring to this county as well. Second, you got to have personal responsibility. You know, you guys are here right now. That's personal responsibility, bar none. You're here finding out about us, finding out who we are, what we want to do for the county, what we can do. So thank you for that. But I'm talking about a situation where you might have a neighbor whose property is kind of a mess. Grab 2 or 3 neighbors, go over and see that person. See if you can help them, build that community, build him up, and after his places look good, he's pretty proud about that place. So that's personal responsibility, you know? Picking up trash when you're outside, walking around, doing things like that. And personal responsibility at every level in your life. And lastly, I'm not a big tax and spend guy. So I'm not in favor of raising taxes, but I am in favor of listening to you folks. According to the Constitution, I will be your servant, I will listen, I will have an open door. You can text me, you can call me, you can come in and see me. What I want to do is tell the commissioners that I'll be working with what you people want. I know a lot of things that we need up here. Obviously roads, you know, insuring a home is really tough. And we have that same problem. We sell a person a home up here and they go get insurance and they call Cindy and I and say, oh man, what's going on, right?
Time.
Pretty crazy. But anyway, constitutionally,
Time.
that's who I am. I love you guys and want to serve you according to our constitutional laws. Thank you.
Okay, now we have a question for both the sheriff candidates. And I'm going to have Steve, you'll go first, Ahmet, you can go second, and then Steve, you can have 30 seconds to rebut if you choose, and then Ahmet, you still would get 30 seconds to rebut also. First question is, please share how you would handle the transition in the sheriff's office when you take over in January.
All right, well, thank you. I think that's a great question because transition is extremely important. Right now, there's a lot of people working for the sheriff's office that are wondering what their future looks like. So, with me, initially, it doesn't look a whole lot different than it looks right now, and hopefully that's comforting to those of you who currently work there. However, that doesn't mean that everything is going to stay the same. There are some things that I think really need to change. One of the first things that we need to implement is a new mission, a new vision, and new values for the sheriff's office. And what that looks like is the mission is, why are we here? What are we trying to accomplish? The values would be the traits that we want to do that. And the vision would be, ultimately, if we could be perfect and have everything that we want, this is what we're going to strive for. Now, the expectations for those would be made clear from the very top, from the sheriff to the undersheriff, down to the frontline supervisors, so that everyone within the agency understands exactly what we're supposed to be doing, what we're striving to do, and how we're going to do it. The other thing that I think is important when we talk about transition is, you know, how are we going to get more people to come and work for the Park County Sheriff's Office? I wish I had an answer for you on that. But I really believe that the culture that we have inside the agency right now is pretty good, but it definitely could be better. And by bettering the culture, by increasing the morale, even though the morale is not low, I've heard it's low. I'd like to know where that's coming from. I don't believe that it actually is low, but we can always improve that. If we have a staff that's comfortable and confident and competent, then they're going to go out and they're going to serve the public well. Thank you.
Like I said during my opening, transitions are hard. And when you change your administration, that's a nightmare for any organization. What I'm going to focus on is to make sure that every deputy that's working for this county can be assured that they're not gonna lose the job. They're gonna have a job. We're gonna have a clear expectations, and we're gonna achieve those expectations as a team. Building the team is the most important thing in any organization, and the change in the organization starts at the top. So we can have a vision statement, mission statements, value statements. Ultimately, everything comes to two things. I am here to provide you public safety and protect your constitutional rights. That's what we do, and that's what I will be expecting from every deputy working under my administration. I know that it's going to be hard transition. I know that some people will leave on their own. They're not going to like it. But if we have a transparency and accountability, and we let our community know what's going on, where we're spending our money, how we allocating our money, and we build that trust with our community, it's the most important thing that we can do as administration. Everybody's going to work. Transitions are not easy, and it usually takes you 6 months to a year to figure out where you stand, what your budget is, and how you're going to move forward. I don't need that. I've already built a department from ground zero. Everybody tells me, Blue River is small. Yes, it is. Blue River is the only one community in Summit County that does not have any business. So guess where their money is coming from? Property tax. Sounds kind of familiar? That's Park County for you. So that's what I'm going to focus my effort on. Making sure that every member of our department is valued, and making sure that I can provide clear purpose, direction, and motivation to accomplish common goal. And that's serving you as residents of this county. Thank you.
If you would like to rebut, you've got 30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds, try to make it quick. So, I've been in your position running for sheriff for the first time 8 years ago. I can tell you that it's not what you think it is. I've been the undersheriff for the last 7.5 years. I don't have a learning curve. I don't have 6 months to a year to get ready to go. I'm ready to go right now. Right now. I know what's going on in this office right now, and I'm ready from day one.
Is this on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, here's it, 30 seconds. Like I said, transition is 3 to 6 months to 1 year. I said, I don't need to wait. It's from the day one. And if you've been in that position, why is it taking us so long to get somewhere in the last 7.5 years? Where are we at? We're at the bottom. That's what I'm going to say. Thank you.
Because we have two sheriff candidates, and we don't have a, for sheriff? Okay. All right, Teddy's he's gonna ask some questions later. So I'm gonna go to sheriff candidates because we have two. For both of you, and Annette, we'll start with you. What are your current job responsibilities, and what is your biggest accomplishment in that job? Thank you.
So currently, like I said, I'm supervising night crew, power shift, and overnight. So in my current position, I was tasked to build a team. The team is a key component to any successful organization. My job is not only to manage the team. My job is to mentor and make sure they succeed in their goals. Therefore, we have a six months evaluation, 1 year evaluation, and I talk to my deputies, and we talk about a clear goal, achievable goals. I'm proud to say that out of my crew, in the last 2 years, and some of them are here, I was helping to promote 2 sergeants and 3 FTOs, field training officers. In my organization, that's the promotion. It comes with a bigger responsibility and, of course, bigger pay. So that is my current job, what I'm doing. I was also tasked to go to our correspondent unit. It's a mental health unit. They were struggling. So we didn't have much time to play and see what we need to do. So meetings were done on an everyday basis, listening to everybody's comments, questions, concerns, and coming up with a plan to implement that plan immediately so we can better that organization. So solution is what I bring to the table. And that's what's very important for any organization. As a top leader in the organization, you're always going to be focused on the problems, but what are your solutions and how you're going to implement them? Thank you.
All right, I'm going to start with the biggest accomplishment part of this question. And my biggest accomplishment as an undersheriff is being able to help the people within our agency achieve their goals. It's great to have the ability to direct them, to get to know them, find out what their interests are, and help them reach their goals and ultimately what they want out of this career. That by far has been the most rewarding part of this position. It's fantastic when you can sit down with a young deputy and say, you know, what are you interested in? Where do you want to go? What do you want your career to look like? What does that path want to look like? And then have the ability within the organization to help them get to where they want to go. And so ultimately, to me, that's teamwork. And that's coming from the top, and it's filtering all the way down throughout the organization and making us a team. Because it really doesn't matter what my accomplishments are if I can't make the organization as a whole be successful and operate. On that note, however, my personal biggest accomplishment in my career, not just with the Sheriff's Office, was getting accepted into the FBI National Academy. Now, as far as my responsibilities within the Sheriff's Office, ultimately, it's most everything. That's what this position is in this county. So, Ahmet said earlier that, you know, he and his staff would be out working if we're short-staffed. Well, I thought I was going to be out working the road tomorrow. It turns out I'm not, but that is one of the things that we currently do. We fill in whenever we have to. And something else that my opponent said is referring, I think, to the Park County Sheriff's Office, that we're at the bottom. We were at the bottom 8 years ago, and we have come so far since then. For those of you that remember what the Park County Sheriff's Office was like at the middle and the end of 2018, we are nowhere near the bottom right now.
Amen.
So what I'm going to rephrase that to the bottom, your salaries are not improving, we're still losing deputies, and we're a revolving door. There has to be a solution, there has to be a plan how to keep those people here. That's what I was referring to. Thank you.
Do you want your 30 seconds, Steve?
I don't need 30
Okay.
seconds.
All right. I'm going to do one more question for the sheriff's candidates. And the Sheriff's Department receives short-term rental tax money. Short-term rental tax was passed. It's a 6% tax. And this is pointed a little bit more towards Steve, but I want to know from Ahmet how he would use that tax, because it is tagged to law enforcement. As the person in the Sheriff's Office assigning bonuses, why did you give yourself more than double the amount of bonus money per the received FOIA documents from the short-term rental tax than the majority of the people under your care? And Ahmet, how will you use that short-term rental tax? And let's see, Steve, you go first.
Okay, so I believe the question is how we're using the STR tax, and specifically pointing to me regarding my bonus. So I've addressed this publicly already, but I'm happy to do it here again. So in 2024, you all approved a short-term rental tax of 2%. 30% of that was scheduled to go to law enforcement within Park County, specifically to the sheriff's office. That ended up, well, we didn't know what that was gonna be. And the sheriff wanted that money to go to our staff. Because we hadn't been able to get salaries increased the way that we'd been asking year after year after year, we decided that with this money coming in, it was going to go to the staff. So we gathered 2 quarters worth of data in 2024 to get a little bit of idea of how much money we were dealing with. In quarter 3 and quarter 4 of 2024, we started doing a law enforcement bonus. And that was broken down into 2 specific categories. 1 category for uniform staff, 1 category for civilian staff. They were at different rates, and if you had been with the agency for less than a year, it was prorated by months. If you'd been with the agency for over 10 years, you got a little bit more as a longevity bonus. In 2025, y'all increased the STR to 6%, like the question said. Now, the amount that the sheriff's office was receiving was reduced by a little bit to 25%. Again, we still didn't have data to pull from to know how much money is going to be coming in to put this directly into salaries. Now, relating to my bonus and the other salaried uniform staff within the sheriff's office, which are the same, there are 3 of us. The sheriff elected not to take a salary. It was a collaboration to try and get those salaries up closer to a market level so that Park County was more marketable compared to those similar agencies around us.
All right, when it comes to the SDR, I think we all know that we're getting 6% short-term rental tax. It's a good chunk of money, and there's always prediction done by the finance department how much that should be, okay? If you're looking in the previous years, it doesn't take the algebra to add double the amount to your projected revenue from the short-term rental tax. How I would use it, definitely not bonuses. Because we know that bonuses, they're paid out with the normal paychecks. So everything over 80 hours gets taxed even more. Teddy talked about it, so they're taxing us on everything. So I would take that money out of the general funds, which includes fleets and uniforms and a bunch of other stuff, totaling whatever short-term rental tax should be. Transfer that in the short-term rental tax account, I think it's account 23 or something like that, and leave that money that already exists, that $500,000, whatever the case might be, and implement that money in the salary increase. So the deputies have higher salaries, and we sustain that office without raising any taxes. So that is my take on the short-term rental tax. Bonuses, it always raises a question. Okay, all the command staff are salary employees. So it doesn't matter how many hours they work, they always get paid the same. So if our deputies are not making that amount of money as a salary employee of the county, including my command staff, they would not be getting those bonuses because that money is brought up for one reason, to make deputies' life much easier and to get them bigger salaries. That's where I stand on it. Thank you.
Okay, so it's not as easy as taking a sales tax and looking at the increase, because this is new and we don't have the data on short-term rentals, and we don't know how many short-term rentals are paying their taxes. So again, it's difficult to understand. However, I think that going forward, it makes sense that this money would go directly into salaries. But when our first year, having no idea of what that revenue was going to look like, this is the route that we went. Then it got increased again within 2 years. So we still didn't have good data on what type of revenue this was going to bring into the county. That's why it was done the way it was done.
Okay, I'm gonna do one more for sheriff's candidates, because we've got a lot, and I'm trying to make these, thank you for all the questions. A lot of the questions, many of them were focused directly at Steve, and so I'm making them a little bit more, so they'll appeal, be appropriate for both. Do you find it appropriate, with regard to social media, do you find it appropriate, and the media in general, to bash your opponent by posting derogatory information online? And do you believe that you have the skills to deal with the media as a sheriff? And
I think is it my turn to go first, Amy? I'm sorry, I lost your.
it's Ahmed's turn.
All right.
Did I make a rebuttal on the last question, or did he not?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I did, okay.
The thing is, I don't know if this is directed towards Steve and I. My campaign recently posted the numbers that we got through the quarter request from the county. And involves the jail, involves the bonuses. So if I'm posting something that's factual, that exists there, that's not derogatory. I'm not bashing on anybody. I'm just putting out what my community has asked me. Hey, what is going with this? So part of the transparency is to be honest and put out to people to know whether it's good or bad. So that's how I would handle that, and that's when it comes to my last post. We did apologize. I didn't want to put anybody on the spot, but we just posted factual statement, and that's what we're going to keep doing. If we have a fax and people ask us about the facts, we will post it. There's no shame in it. That's how we deal with it. Thank you.
I'm not exactly sure how to interpret this question. I'm not a social media guru. In fact, I'd really prefer to have somebody much younger than myself working in that realm for the sheriff's office. I do have experience with the media. It's not something that I enjoy, but it is something that I have done. Maybe some of you have seen me on TV for different interviews, heard some quotes in the paper, whatever. I don't have a problem with that, and I think that it's necessary because it is one way to communicate with the public. It's one way to get information out, and it's one way to get a message to communities or folks who need to have some information. It's not very enjoyable. This is not enjoyable for me here today, right? I don't enjoy being up here speaking in front of you. I'm a cop. I enjoy more personal interactions with people. I enjoy coming into a situation and trying to find solutions on more of an interpersonal level. However, the last 7 years I've had to come out of that, and I've had to learn how to deal with bigger situations and speak to bigger groups like this. And so while I apologize if I'm not as polished as I should be, I do recognize the importance to this. I do understand that getting information out to you all is very important, however that is, if it's in the media or if it's in social media. I know that's important, and as your sheriff, I plan on having more communication coming out of the sheriff's office to share with you, especially in different platforms. Right now we're kind of limited to basically one platform, and that is Facebook. It's good for some things, but I also know that X would be a better platform to blast out small snippets of information that are more pertinent, say about emergencies going on or something like that. And that is my time, but thank you for the question.
It's very important today to have that social media. We run social media in Summit County every day. I even had a crazy idea. We are all wired up. We wear our body-worn cameras. Some of us have dash camera. Other agencies don't. I was thinking I would put a YouTube channel on so they can be on a patrol with the deputy all night long. We don't have nothing to hide. We're cops. This is what we do for a living. And if this is what community wants to know, we're open for that too. But in addition to that, having the Citizen Police Academy, so the citizens of this county learn what cops are doing every day. That would be a great opportunity for every one of us here. Thank you.
You want to rebut? Okay, I'm gonna ask one more. Trying to make sure that all your guys' questions get answered, and we've got time. So, I'm trying to make this fit for both of you. The rest of the questions I got were all directed at Steve. Post-certification, and how important is that for all the different positions within the Sheriff's Department? And Steve, specifically, you repeatedly say publicly that you have been in charge of managing the Sheriff's Office. Is this true? And explain how Detective Fowler, who has not been certified for the past 3 years, was allowed to make arrests and function as a detective. And Steve, you're first.
Okay, that's the part about Detective Fowler, that's pretty simple. So we hired Detective Fowler as a part-time investigator with the Sheriff's Office. He had let his post-certification lapse after multiple decades of law enforcement service in Colorado. But the thing about a Sheriff's Office is a sheriff can appoint power to their staff. So this really is no different than our jail staff who is not certified right now. So when they are acting in the performance of their duties, they are considered a peace officer in the state of Colorado because the sheriff has given them that authority. Post-certification is important. Yes, I believe that it is. But I've heard my opponent here say that he would like to get all of our jail staff post-certified. That's great. What about the ones that don't want to do that? They exist. Not everyone's dream is to go out and be a street cop. We've got, the captain of our jail has 25 years of jail experience. He's fantastic at his job. All of those years of experience, but he is not post-certified. And there's nothing wrong with that. We have another person within our jail that's been there more than 10 years. Also, good at his job, has no desire to go to a post academy, and fortunately, the way the laws are, we don't need him to for him to be able to perform his duties. So, I think I've answered that. Like I said, post-certification, very important training, I think, but in some circumstances, it's not necessary.
Post-certification is very necessary, especially if you're investigating criminal matters. Okay? Under the sheriff's oath of office, when he deputizes deputies, there's not much they can do with it. Right? They can work either courts, jail, or enforce the county code. When it comes to the criminal, they have to be post-certified. Post-certification, police officer standard training is very important. So, when it comes to deputies who don't want to work the streets, they don't have to. This is going to be optional. If they have desire to get post-certified and help the organization, I would really appreciate that. If they have desire just to work the jail, well, that's up to them. But I think if we verse every deputy and expose every deputy to the criminal law, Title 18, and where they can go out and get trained and have desire to work the streets, that door should be open. I'm a firm believer that our recruitment should be focused on the people who are working detentions. They already went to the background checks, they already went to the psych tests, they're already employee of this county. So that saves us the time, that saves us the money. So recruitment should be starting at our detentions. And that's why I want every deputy in Park County to be post-certified. They can be post-certified and don't work the street. There's nothing wrong with that. So, but if they express desire down the road to get on the road and work the streets, they have that opportunity. We cut down our training, we cut down our hiring process. It's a win-win for everybody. Thank you.
Just just a little bit more to add in regards to the detective that was brought up earlier. I'm not actually aware of any time where he made a custodial arrest. And so while we may have a little bit of a disagreement on how to interpret the law on that, I don't know that it matters in this case. It would be the very same as a court security deputy taking someone into custody at the order of a judge or because they had a warrant, and if they had a warrant, then they could be arrested by anyone who has peace officer authority from the sheriff's office, post-certified or not.
Okay.
And if I want to add to this, Detective or Investigator Fowler, who was the detective sergeant this time at the sheriff's office? His wife. So how do you answer to your direct supervisor, who's your wife? You guys see the problem with nepotism here? Because I do. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We had a few other questions, but a lot of them were focused towards Steve, and I think I did a good job of getting most of them that could give you guys a really good indication of what the candidates are all about. We're going to County Commissioner now. So, Wally, what land use regulations would you like to see changed or updated? And what would be accomplished by doing so? And how important are those land use regulations within people living within Park County?
Sure. Thank you for the question. The land use regulation scenario is a situation that does pull a fair amount of money in given the tax scenario. I think if it's properly applied, we can take some of those land use monies and apply them to some of the needs and wants and have-to-haves like roads, etc., in the county right now. So I would not be opposed to some of those types of scenarios. Land use is extremely important. We do have roads, we do have other issues, fire, water mitigation, that kind of thing. People to afford the insurance on their homes, etc. So I would not be opposed to morphing some of that money from those areas into the areas that are desperately needed, roads, fire, that kind of thing. So,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. And Cindy, assessor, what changes would you make in the assessor's office in January?
Well, that's a loaded question. I don't know that there would be any changes to begin with. I would want to get to know my staff. I want to know who does what. I would be pursuing my ad valorem appraisal job or task to make sure that I knew what I was doing that way. Although currently I am working on becoming much more familiar with the Colorado assessor's tax laws. But to begin with, I would really want to just find out who in my staff wants to become more trained, what they do, and make sure that they are getting the support that they need and they want. And I want to produce an environment of a place where they enjoy coming to work. There'd be no jealousy on my part if they're smarter than me, and I bet they are. That would be awesome, you know. I want everybody to get to the level where they feel they can get to, and that's my job. That would be my job, along with being the assessor and learning everything I need to learn.
Thank you. All right, Wally. In 2023, you ran for commissioner in District 2, but now you are running for commissioner in District 3. Please explain.
Absolutely correct. About 4 years ago, we did not have a candidate to run for commissioner in District 2. I considered it. I thought it would be a positive situation to have a Republican on the ballot. I didn't want that seat to just be given away to the Democrats. So what I did is I moved to Bailey. legal, moral, ethical, my own money, etc., and lived there for a year so that I could run for that position in Baylor. 7 to 10 days, maybe 2 weeks before the assembly, Jason Gimmer decided to jump in the race. And he won the primary and moved on, and then he's now our commissioner, and he's doing a fabulous job. We had a little bit of a camaraderie in that race. I remember somebody asking both of us one time, and I think it was here, they asked us if whoever won would the loser, back that person. And he and I said, yes, absolutely, at the same time, and that's how that situation happened. Now I'm back in Indian Mountain in District 3, and Dave's decided not to continue, and I would love to be able to serve this group, as the Constitution states how we do that. I'm going to have an open door, an open telephone, come in and see me, anything you want to talk about. I'm here as your humble servant, to be quite honest with you. So that's how that situation happened, right?
All right, stay standing. You've got one more question.
Okay.
Previously in your career, you were a geologist. How would this play into your managed land use regulations and help you as a commissioner?
So the first 25 years of my career, I worked for Union Pacific Railroads Mining Corporation. We did geologic exploration and mine evaluation. I just want to say real quick, I'm very familiar with budgets, and that's what we do as a commissioner. We manage budgets, we manage different departments. But obviously the land use scenario is extremely important. I was really excited to hear that they moved Wild Horse Reservoir a little further south. Unfortunately, I didn't have a decision in that, but the geology, the engineers, the people that did that realized that what they were going to do in the first go-round was a scenario where they were going to have 3 dams, and they weren't really sure how the structure underneath the ground was going to react. Not that I did and they didn't, but it was a positive move for them to move it south. So I think my knowledge of the geology scenario, uranium exploration, the oil shale exploration, bringing budgets from zero, because if you have an exploration project, you really don't know what the budget's going to be like. It's not as easy as adding $50 million to last year's budget. You have to plan a budget from the ground up. So I think my experience in the industry as far as mining, valuation, et cetera goes, and my experience as it relates to the job as a county commissioner is go hand in hand. And I'm excited to work with the commissioners. They do a great job. It's a tough job. It's not a 40-hour-a-week job. I've called Dave Whistle on Friday. He's been at the office. I called Amy Sunday night, and she's working on a grant. I mean, if that's what it takes, that's what it's going to take. All within the confines of doing things right for you guys, the people. I'm your helper. Let me know what you need. I'm there for you guys.
Now I have a question for all the candidates, and then we will let Teddy ask the question. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll just start with Steve and go down the row, and this pertains to everybody. Will you hire trans people? And we're going to give 30 seconds on this one.
Well, working in government, I understand that in Colorado, that is a protected class. And so if a person meets the requirements for a job and is the best candidate in that pool, it doesn't matter if they're blue, yellow, green, trans, gay, straight, they should get the job if they are the best person for the job.
Piggyback on Steve here, this is something that, like he said, as long as they meet criteria, we do not want to open county to any lawsuits that will be costing county money. Needless to say, for the law enforcement job, I don't know how it works for the rest of the county. They actually have to be able to pass physical, psychological, polygraph and everything else. So if they meet the criteria, this is the state law, this is protected class. We, as a sheriff, I would have to protect my organization and protect you, citizens of this county, from any lawsuit that could be done against us. Thank you.
I've always wanted to hire people similar to what they do with The Voice. You know, all the people are, your back is to the candidate. And you get to see, you don't see them, you don't make judgments about them, you just go based on their credentials, what they're able to do, and to prove to you that they can do. And so that is what I like, is I don't believe you should look at their religion, their color, how big they are, how small they are, if they have any other, I guess my time's up.
Obviously, I'm in concert with everybody here. I have a little bit of experience at that, though. I was, not being trans, but I was president of the Colorado High School Baseball Umpires Association. We had an umpire that started out as Michael and is umpiring as Michelle now. And we handled it as far as, there was no difference in that scenario. We only promoted all of our umpires on their ability. They, you know, we trained them, we supervised them, you know, we just on their ability, solely on their ability. Makes no difference.
All right, Teddy?
Sure. I guess my first question, I have two, one for the sheriff's, one for the county commissioner candidate. My first question for the county commissioner candidate is, I have a rough draft of a piece of legislation I'd like to run, which would lock property tax for anyone that is a disabled veteran or a senior citizen, so that their property tax never increases because they're on a fixed income, and because property taxes are going through the roof in Colorado because of home assessments going up and the value of property going up. Knowing that that might decrease potential revenue in the future expected potential revenue and increase in revenue, would you support that as the county commissioner?
As a past senior vice commander for the Sons of the American Legion, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
I think we pull our personal responsibility in on this one, and if I have to throw a few more nickels to something to make it happen, I'm totally fine with that scenario. Absolutely.
Thank you. And my second question, or for the sheriffs here, for the sheriff candidates, is with the institution of 003 going into effect in August, there will be delays for people to be able to facilitate their constitutional rights. Now, I know that the current sheriff will be handling the handoff of that, but my question is do you have any plans to expedite the route so that people can exercise their constitutional rights? And do you have any workarounds that you plan to do as the county to make to basically give the middle finger to Denver? Forgive my French.
Teddy, I love that question. And you know, everybody here knows my stand on the Second Amendment. It's a God-given right to protect us from tyranny, not to have hunting rifles or anything else. As a sheriff, I would definitely speed up the process. I would definitely waive all the fees for our residents. I would even go to the extreme to provide twice a year classes for our residents so they don't have to complete nothing else, because ultimately sheriff's going to be signing on those classes and who is authorized to teach them. So, to the lunatics down in Denver, I will not enforce it. It comes to us to enforce it. I know that our power comes from the state constitution for the sheriff, but the state constitution mirrors what? Supreme law of this country, and that's the U.S. Constitution. Thank you.
Well, Teddy, I'm also a big proponent of the Second Amendment and the right for people to keep and bear arms. However, I'm also a law enforcement officer, and there comes a point where it doesn't matter what my personal beliefs are, we have to enforce the law. And as far as Senate Bill 3 goes, I don't know that it's going to hold up. I really have a lot of faith that our judicial system is going to come through and strike this thing down as being unconstitutional. However, we can't bank on that. and we're ready. We are ready for Senate Bill 3 when it goes into effect. We're not going to start taking early applications because I received information that this helps the Democrats in the state to come up with a plan for a countersuit for them being sued for the constitutionality of this. But we will be ready on day one. What that looks like, well, we're still working out the bugs. We don't know for sure. But as the sheriff's office and with the sheriff, it is you all's constitutional right. And state law is now telling us that we have to do this, so we will be ready. We will be ready to support you. We will be ready to guide you, and we will be ready to point you down the road that you need to go in order to legally purchase a firearm here in the state of Colorado.
Okay, we are now going to offer closing statements. So everybody's going to get 2 minutes. We'll start with Teddy, and we'll go down the road. We want to know just how you want to wrap up, whatever you think is on your heart.
Vote for Teddy Collins, Senate District 4. Visit the website. Donate because I need the funds to beat the Democrat. And God bless Colorado. God bless great state of Colorado and the United States.
Fastest closing I've ever seen.
Well, before I start my closing, I'd like to circle back on one of the last things that was said about Detective Fowler, and just to clarify the nepotism piece of that, I was actually his supervisor, so that the Sergeant of Investigations didn't have any subordinate that they were directly related to. So clear that up a little bit. But the first thing that I'd like to talk to you about today in my closing, my training and my experience. So I've had thousands of hours of leadership training, FBI National Academy Session 293, the County Sheriffs of Colorado Under Sheriff Institute. I've taken all 3 FBI LEDA Law Enforcement Executive Development classes, supervisory, command, and executive, in addition to their Cultural and Diversity Institute. I've attended the Rocky Mountain Command College, sponsored by the Rocky Mountain Federal Bureau of Investigation, International Association of Chiefs of Police, Leadership and Command. I've been post-certified at Highlands Ranch since 2006. Like I said before, I have a master's certificate from the University of Virginia. I have 2 bachelor's degrees, one in sociology, one in history. I'm a graduate from Platte Canyon High School. Some of my law enforcement experience, I've been a detective, I've been a deputy sheriff, both detentions and patrol. I've been a school resource officer. I've been a municipal police officer. I've been a SWAT operator, a SWAT team leader. I've worked as a railroad police special agent, a senior special agent, a police canine handler. I have experience with security planning, executive protection, a corporal, and I'm now your undersheriff, which I've been for more than the last 7 years. Like I said in my opening, this is my home. I'm running for your sheriff because Park County is important to me. I love this place. I grew up here. I don't want to go work anywhere else. And I know that with some tweaks and some changes, the Park County Sheriff's Office can be the pinnacle of law enforcement, rural law enforcement here in Colorado. Thank you.
So in the closing, what it comes to, it's leadership. I have classes through the FBI leader, Rocky Mountain FBI Command College. I don't know how many countless leadership classes I attended. It's how you lead your people. And I lead from proud. I'm not hiding anywhere. I'm still gonna be on the street. This is the best part of my job, interacting with citizens every day. But it's a good interaction or not. That's to be judged. If you get pulled over, probably not. But I believe in education. I believe in transparency. And I believe in community. That's the key word here. I'm gonna restore the public trust. Like I said before, I don't want my deputies to be distant figures. I want them to be familiar faces. And I want every one of them to know who they're working for. Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
transparency. I would bring to you the ability to understand what's happening with your property and why the taxes are being assessed the way they are. I would build my team up. There's been some dissension, there's issues with people leaving that department, significantly leaving that department, 28 in the last 7 years. And I would see to it that they want to come to work, that it's a place of enjoyment, that it's a family, that it's enjoyable for them. As you know, if you love your job, you never work a day in your life, and that's what I want it to be. But I want everything to be transparent, and anybody who can come into the office and hopefully talk to anybody in that office and get an explanation of the situation they're looking for, or at least be able to show them where to go to get that information. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to working with Teddy down at the Golden Dome. There are some things we must do to flip some numbers, to get more money for our roads. The amount of roads we have versus the amount of cars that are registered on our roads doesn't work out. We have cars from other counties that come up here and abuse our roads. We need to get those numbers flipped. We need to figure out a way to have those people down there help us pay for the roads that they're abusing in our county. So that's a situation where we go down to the Golden Dome, we get in front of those people, we get in their face. That doesn't bother me. I've umpired college baseball for 35 years. I can deal with issues, you know. I have coaches leaving me laughing, wondering, scratching their head, knowing what's going on. We need to attack this at that level. And if you guys come to me and let me know what you want, within the confines of the Constitution, I'll work for you 40, 50, 60 hours a week, because I love this place, and this is where I want to finish it. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, we got done a little bit ahead of schedule, so that's good. I want to thank you. We're going to sit around and talk, or stand around and talk a little bit when you're all done. Again, I want to thank you so much on behalf of the Park County Republican Central Committee, all of you for coming out on Memorial Day, Saturday afternoon. Hopefully your questions got answered. If not, ask them again. I want to thank our clerk and treasurer for being with us. You didn't have to come over, but we appreciate that. I want to thank this table. I want to thank everyone who's running. We had